But tonight is a bit of a one-off. Sometimes we sort of break up the series with something where people sort of draw on themes from their own practice. And tonight we've got 3 people who've asked for ordination, who are going to talk to us about why they've asked for ordination. Now, the first question you might have is, sorry, what's ordination? What's this about? So I'm sure you've seen us, many of us, here with our cases on. So this case indicates that the 3 jewels, just emblazoned here on the caser, the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, are very close to my heart. They sit there very close to my heart, and there's double so that I can really remember. It sort of indicates that I've been witnessed by the community as someone who is going for refuge well enough, who is practicing Buddhism, practicing the Dharma well enough in a kind of way that's effective in my life. It's effective in my life. It's affecting my life. And there's a process of witnessing this. So there's a lead up to it. There are retreats, there's training, but it's not just that. It's not just a set of retreats to do or things to be good at, or whether you can give a talk or not give a talk. It's really about something sitting at my heart that then transforms my life or has an effect on my life. And I want to keep this. I want to keep what's this practice of Buddhism, this Dharmic practice, right at the center of my life. That's what I want to do. And this case is a sense of a reminder to me that people have seen that I'm practicing well enough. I'm doing well enough with this. I'm effective in keeping the Dharma more at the center of my life. And then I could join the order. But it's quite a process to do this, and there are many sort of different ways to be engaged in what is the Triratna Buddhist community. So I'm a member of the Triratna Buddhist Order, and then we've got the community of practitioners that actually is all around the world. So I'm from Australia. That's quite far away. Actually, my whole story is I met the Triratna first in Kathmandu, which was very cool because I was traveling through Kathmandu, and there were these guys who would sort of go out in the sort of the best season and teach Buddhism and meditation to people sort of traveling through there. So I first met Triratna in Kathmandu. And it was a revelation. It was like, oh, wow, these guys, they're doing it. I'd met Buddhism in traditional forms in Asia, but I didn't feel like there was a place for me. But it's like, oh, wow, these guys are doing it. These Western guys are doing it. So then I came to Britain, and I spent some time in Oxford. And yeah, they were still doing it. It was still good. And then I went back to Australia. And I met the Sydney Buddhist Centre, and I was like, yeah, more people practicing the Dharma. And then I wanted to intensify my practice. So I came back to Britain because the Triratna was founded by Sangharakshita, who I've put him on our shrine, and he was an Englishman. So Triratna has a very particular sort of presence here in Britain. But it's all around the world, all around the world. In India, in particular, there's a huge, big community of order members. And people like the rest of the community sort of practicing. So there's a particular commitment to practice that's witnessed when we have our ordinations, usually on a long retreat, if you can get there. A 3-month retreat or maybe a 2-week retreat. where the ordination happens within a whole sort of ritual context of retreat. But we have other ways to mark being more committed to the Buddhist path. So there are some people in this room who have decided that they're Buddhists and that they want to be, they want that sort of acknowledged and marked. And so then people become mitras. So when you become a mitra, you're saying, do you know, I'm a Buddhist and I want the practice of Buddhism to influence my life. So I'm a Buddhist, I'm going to practice the precepts. And the Triratna Buddhist community is a really good context to do that. So there are many people here who sort of decided, yes, they're mitras, they're Buddhists and they want to practice in that way. And that's yeah, you know, our community really thrives on all these different ways to practice. So not everybody has to become an order member, but our 3 friends for tonight have decided that they would like to join the order. And well, I wonder why. Why did they say, what sort of sparked them to sort of feel like they'd like to join the order? So I'm going to start with Maria, the lovely Maria. She's on the Dharma Night team, so she's here every Tuesday, and she's here quite a lot at other times as well. She's really around. And when Maria first came to the Buddhist Centre here in Cambridge, she immediately felt a connection. And she did a retreat. Another plug. She did a week, did you go straight for a 5-day retreat? She went straight for a 5-day retreat. That is the kind of girl she is. And a fire was lit within Maria and she hasn't turned back. So Maria asked to be a mitra and she asked for ordination almost at the same time. And well, she's just a joy to know. I really love Maria. She's just a joy to know. She's a scientist by training, but I tell you what, the Dharma, I feel like, is her heart gets bigger and bigger. If you want a good hug, Maria's the person to hug. Yeah. So I'm going to hand over to Maria to give our first talk.
Hi everyone, thank you. Amrachandra's shortened my talk a bit by telling my story. Yeah, that's right, I'll tell it again.
Yeah, tell it.
Yeah, so why did I ask for ordination? That's actually a really, really hard question. Because I asked for ordination when I'd only been coming to the Buddhist Centre for about 10 months. So it was actually even before I became a mitra that I had this like, oh, got to join this order. But at that time, I realised, looking back, that of course I had no idea what it was that I was talking about. Actually, I still don't know very much about the order because you can't know much about it until you're really engaged in it, I think. But at that time, I definitely didn't have much idea, but I had this heart longing for the order. And I asked Amrachandra if I could train for ordination. And she, I think, saw that I meant it, even though she knew that I had no idea what I was talking about. So that's how it started. And she said, first of all, you've got to become a mitra. And I was going to do that anyway, because I knew pretty much immediately that I was a Buddhist. I just had to find out what that actually meant. Yeah, I haven't looked back for a second. I mean, this is definitely the sort of central aspect of my life now. So I didn't know anything about it, but I have really engaged. And I think that the first thing I sort of found out that made me see the order as different from just, you know, part of the Sangha or you know, the order stands apart from the Sangha in a sense, is that the symbol of the order, the Triratna order, is Avalokiteshvara, the 1,000-armed Bodhisattva, each arm has a hand holding a tool or an implement. And that implement is to be used for the benefit of all beings. And so fairly early on, I realized that when you join the order, you sort of become an arm of Avalokiteshvara in some way. And that seems sort of very important. So I started to think about what kind of arm could I be and what could my implement be? And that is something that became a theme, because it actually has arisen in various study groups and meditations on retreats and training for ordination retreats and so on. So that's something that is has been important to me to think about that. And I realise as well that I don't know what arm I am or what tool I've got at the moment, because there's a lot of transformation work to do to go from where I am now in my life to being that person. But I think that's also true of most order members. They're still trying to work out what arm they are and what their tool is. So it's all about transformation. So I thought, right, let's get on with that part of it. And and as Amrachandra said, I'm a scientist by training, and therefore my sort of way of dealing with a new area is to read lots of books about it and try to develop some expertise in that area. And you know, sort of feel that's my comfort zone, I suppose, is kind of reading and thinking, yeah, okay, I know what this is about. But I've been very lucky so far in my training for ordination, because I've already made some very good friends amongst the Dharmacharanis. Dharmacharanis are the female order members. So I have 2 or 3 very close friends amongst them, and they have sort of gently encouraged me to see that it's not about reading and reciting sutras and reading all Sangharakshita's books, and you know, wonderful though they are. There has to be practice. You have to be practicing the Dharma. And that practice is, of course, inspired by the teachings, but it isn't just a matter of learning what the teachings say. And, you know, you can read books and learn sutras for 1,000 myriad kalpas, and it will never make any difference. So this is one of the things that I've learned from my friends, who don't say that to me directly. They just make me know it somehow. So how they do that, I don't know, but they bring practice in, and I've learned a lot from that. So with those friends, I've started to understand a bit about what my working ground is. So, you know, what like we talk about the cremation ground, where you go to transform your inner demons and your sort of dark side into compassion. So they're helping me to see what my cremation ground is and what I should be trying to transform. So that's done through meditation. I mean, meditation is such a fundamental practice, just to get to know your inner self better. So I've been doing a lot of work on that, but with the help of these very dear friends who are very essential to my understanding of what it is that I'm trying to do. And one of them told me recently, and this made a big impact on me, that she is a Dharmacharini to the very core of her being, which is a very sort of beautiful thing to say, I think. And it's aspirational, because I just thought, oh God, I wish, you know, how amazing to be that committed. I wish I felt, you know, I am committed, but that just seemed like something that that expressed a sort of incredible authenticity. And it made me realize immediately that part of my working ground is to develop this authenticity, where I say things that come from my true heart, rather than saying things for a bit of a laugh, or, you know, to be clever, which I do a lot, to be honest. I probably always will. But I kind of want that for myself. I want to have that authenticity, and it's part of my working ground. So the spiritual friendship that's available within the order is something very, very precious, and it's a two-way thing. You don't just draw kind of, support from your spiritual friends, you give it back as well. So I'm learning to be somebody who gives back and tries to express my compassion through these sorts of relationships, and trying to have truthful communication, and open communication, and loving communication with the people that I'm meeting within this wider Sangha, but also within the order. And through that process, I'm starting to get some glimpses of what I might bring to the order. So what kind of arm I am and what kind of tool it might be. And I've discussed this a bit with Amarachandra a couple of times, because sometimes it comes up that I've got a sort of creative energy that I like to use. And it may be that I'm cooking a giant pot of food, or it might be that I'm digging a massive hole in Tara Loka's garden or something. When I do those things, I'm in this sort of happy place where I think, yeah, this is who I am, this is me. So I think that my tool will be something like a cooking spoon or a shovel. and I'll be holding that proudly at the end of my arm in my role in the order. I can't fully see it yet, but that's some sort of expression of who I think I can be at my best, this sort of creative, nurturing type. I have that in me. It isn't fully there at the moment because I still have all the work to do, but that's why I'm joining the order, because that's who I want to be, and that's the context that I want to be that in. So that's it, really. I didn't time myself. I don't know how long that was.
That was absolutely perfect. Wow. Well, thank you very much. We're off to a good start with Maria's talk. Transformation and creative energy. That's a really lovely way to think about it, isn't it? And who do you really want to be? And who would have known at the beginning that, you thought you'd be holding a cooking spoon, that would be your sort of tool of real transformation and offering, transformation and offering. Great, thank you. So Luke is going to talk to us next. Luke is relatively new to Cambridge. How long have you been in Cambridge?
5-ish months.
5 or so months, but you'll tell us when you ask for ordination in your talk. And knowing Luke a little, I was thinking he's this lovely combination of gentleness and strength. That is how I think of him. And I was thinking about that, and then I went, oh, he's a yoga teacher. It's sort of like, it's not just, it's in his being as well. So I feel like, yeah, that's how I know him so far. I look forward to even knowing more of his qualities over time.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. I'll just do my 10-minute timer so I don't get booed off. So a little bit of backstory. So I became a Buddhist in 2019, and I joined Triratna in 2021. So I was following the Mahayana Buddhist tradition for a couple of years, and I found myself drawn to Mahayana Buddhism because it's the Bodhisattva ideal. It's this idea of going outwards to help others gain enlightenment. It's just what hooked me in, and that's what just really captivated me. And then eventually I came across Triratna, and 2 months later I became a Mitra. My friend Maitri Banji says, jokingly, he says, I'm the fastest Mitra in Triratna. So we'll see if that's true or not. But And then I asked for ordination about a year ago, last February. So I had a bit of a bit bigger gap between Mitra and ordination, and it was definitely a needed gap for sure. Because it wasn't an easy journey. I think you're going to hear different from all of us how it's a different experience for every person who asks for ordination. Some people it's a clear sign. Yes, clearly it was a straight let's do this. For me it was more of a battle. It was actually it was a real struggle of going, am I at the right point in my life to make this decision, to make this commitment? And it was thanks to two dear teachers and friends, the president of this wonderful centre, Jana Archer, and my friend Maestro Bandu, both talking to them and kind of fleshing things out with friends really helped me actually just feel ready to even get to this point in my life. So during the talk, I'm going to pull 3 threads of why I asked for ordination. The first one, I'm going to start strong with painful experiences of suffering. So I went on a pilgrimage last year. This is where I met Phoebe. And we went to India for 3 weeks, and I saw a lot of suffering. I feel like in the West, we are generally a lot of suffering is mental, at least that's what I felt in my personal experience. But in India, a lot of the suffering is clear in front of you. People live in slums, it's true poverty. And it was just so heartbreaking to see that when I was out there. And that was a real moment of realization of like, there's something that needs to be done in this world. And I realized that maybe for me, the best way I can help alleviate some of that suffering is asking for ordination and being able to spread the Dharma, being able to teach Buddhism to people. Whether I can help people, I can obviously help people alleviate their physical suffering. I can help with poverty and I can help people in that way, but I can also help with mental suffering because they are in some ways connected. And I really feel like that is one of the main things I ask for ordination, is to really go back one day, to go back to India and help spread the Dharma. Which is a big thing to say, but it's definitely something that I keep having to come back to. And like, hang on a second, why are you doing this? It's for something bigger than yourself. It's to teach the Dharma. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I asked. But there was also the other side of this pilgrimage. It was the inspirational, beautiful moments. It was the visiting all these holy sites of the Buddha, where he was born, where he died, or where he entered parinirvana, and where he first taught the Dharma. And these moments of just something magical was here, tapping into that. You just don't have that in your daily life. You're just from your rat race, from your job or from your family, which is beautiful if you have a family. I'm not saying if you have a family, obviously, when you're out there in something magical, you tap into that and you really can connect to something. And I think I did connect to that. And I feel like and not just me, there was a lot of people on that pilgrimage who connected to something, which was very beautiful. And that's another thing that was amazing about that, was the friendships that were formed on this trip. Several people, and that many people had already asked for ordination. I hadn't asked for ordination when I was on the pilgrimage. And it was just amazing how many people just deepened connections with each other in 3 weeks. I've got these bonds with people that I probably will never ever lose because of this experience together. It was just such a beautiful thing. And one of those people was Phoebe. And she's actually one of small but important reason I asked for ordination. The more we got to know each other, the more I realized how inspirational she was as a person. And it was like, oh, hang on a second. I want that in my life. I want that journey for me as well. And it wasn't like I want it because she got it. That was like, this is really amazing. And she's just living a life that is so beautiful. I was like, oh, why can't I have that? This is just amazing. So like, that was just another reason, that those friendships was a beautiful reason to ask for ordination, actually. I just want 2 honourable mentions of friendships. One is Bante. I've never met Bante, unfortunately. He died before I was even a Buddhist. He died in 2018, but somehow I have a very strong connection with him. And I feel very grateful that I'm here. I wouldn't be here, and I don't think anyone here right now would be here if it wasn't for him. So I feel very grateful for him, and I continue hopefully to deepen that friendship over time. And one more honourable mention is my Mitra group. And obviously we've talked about becoming a Mitra, lovely introduction that was. So I don't have to explain it. But like we said, you have a 4-year study group with friends, and you really get to know these people. And there were 3 guys who asked for ordination before me. And I looked at them and I was like, again, you're doing something. And I was like, hang on a second, if you're doing it, I want to do it. I think there's a healthy sense of competition. There's obviously competition can be a bit jagged sometimes, but when it comes to this little nudge forward, little pull forward, like, oh, I've asked for ordination, and something starts to go in your head, like, hang on a second, we came across at the same time. You've asked for ordination, I think I should ask for ordination. So it's kind of just like this momentum and energy and friendship. And I just feel so grateful for those men. And now even more guys have asked, and it's just such a beautiful feeling to see all of us coming along this journey together. And yeah, the kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about was being a part of something bigger than yourself. I feel like we're kind of losing that a little bit in modern society. We're kind of becoming more separate, more in our home, especially after COVID. I definitely felt so separate from the world around me. But joining Triratna, it is something much more important than just me. Like, we're each of an arm of Avalokiteshvara. We're creating something so much more important than just one being. And it's to serve a higher goal in a way, like to spread the Dharma. Like, what an amazing thing that is. I can't honestly think of any better way to live my life and to help others learn about Buddhism and help spread that. It comes back to the Bodhisattva idea. What just brought me to the Dharma in the first place, that hooked me in. It's just going outwards to help others and to bring them in. And that's another, I'm on the team for the Thursday night meditation class, and it's just, I love having newcomers come in, like meeting people for the first time, and like, oh, this is the start of your journey, and like being able to be a part of that, and just, oh yeah, it's just a beautiful feeling. And in the meditation earlier, I was just sat, and I started to think about the moment I asked for ordination. I was sat in a room, 20, all of us. Phoebe's like, yeah. We're just doing like a check-in, like how we're doing after the day. It's been a long day. It got to me, I was just like, oh my God, something just clicked. Something just happened. I was like, I want to ask for ordination. Like, and it just erupted. And it just so much cheering, so much happiness, just so much joy. It was just such an amazing feeling. I completely forgot about that until just now in this earlier meditation. It was just such a beautiful feeling. I'm quite happy that I did it in a group of people that I bonded. So that was a really beautiful moment. Yeah. It's just, what else can I say? It's the inspiration of people around me, the suffering that's brought me here, even though it was difficult to see and in my own life, it was what I needed to be here right now, to be in front of you all and connecting with you all, and being a part of something bigger than myself, to give myself a direction of my life. They're the reasons I asked for ordination. Thank you so much.
It was very clear, very eloquent. And I think, I guess you've all been talking about the Bodhisattva on the course that you've been doing. And it can sound like a bit of an abstract concept, can't it? But I feel like you really brought it out, the sort of the Bodhisattva heart, the wish to sort of have something as a bigger goal in life, something to sort of really live for in that sort of way. Yeah, so you really brought that out. Thank you. Next we go to Csilla. So I didn't. I forgot to prepare something, Csilla. She's just so gorgeous. Csilla is a creative spirit. Everything about her is looking for a creative response, whether it's with her kids. Her kids have had to also engage with the Dharma and a bit of MVC. Csilla is interested in truth, but she's got this creative way of living. Yeah, so I'm interested to know what you're going to say first, Csilla.
I wasn't sure whether it was a good idea to go last, but it's brilliant. Because I can't believe how different these stories are. And thank you. It was just really, really amazing to listen to you. And my story is totally different as well. So when RCCD asked me to talk about why I asked for ordination, the first answer that came to me, it was from my heart, and it just was simple because my heart told me so. And then I thought, okay, that's going to be the shortest talk of the history. And I really need to come up with a few more things, right? You know, and so I asked my heart, okay, tell me, why did you ask for ordination? And then conditions came up, all different things, you know, I mean, everything that we do, right? They come because of conditions before that. All the things that we say, they are come because of conditions. So I thought, I'm not going to pretend that I know all the conditions why I asked for ordination, because I'm sure that there are like loads, but I can try to say just a few that brought me to this moment. So I'm Csilla. I asked for ordination only in April, so a few months ago. I come from a country that doesn't exist anymore, and I'm going to tell you about why that is relevant just a bit later. It's Yugoslavia, and I had a fair share of ups and downs, a few traumas, you know, in my childhood, like all of us. And my father died when I was 15, and that was really, really difficult for us. Additionally to that, the country started falling apart around that time, just a bit later. So friendships were ruined, families torn apart, my friends went to war, there were electricity cuts, there were scarcity in food, there was all these things that made me think a lot. And alongside that, another condition is that I was always a very, very curious child. My parents say that I always had to question everything. And I questioned everything. And I would speak to priests, you know, asking them some pretty deep questions. And then when they couldn't answer it, you know, at some point, you know, having read the Bible or, you know, consulted the Quran and the Talmud, I decided that organized religion wasn't for me and just couldn't provide me with the answers. I continued reading, you know, and we continued reading the classics, you know, came across philosophy, loved it, you know, but still, you know, no answers came. And around the age of 17, I came across Hermann Hesse's book, Siddhartha. I've been reading my diary the other day, and what an amazing thing to have, you know, to refer back to what I was writing down, all the quotes from the book. And it was just like, I don't know, lightning. It rang through all of it. It was the truth, you know, but specifically having met him, and this is me meeting the Buddha at 17, I shall put it actually here. The other thing that I carried from that age, that 17-year-old girl, came across enlightenment, the description of enlightenment. And in the midst of all of that, and I'm going to say it madness because that's how it was written in my diary, that surely there must be something more than this madness that is happening around us, right? There must be something more, this quest, you know, at that age of there just must be something more. And enlightenment, as I read it then, I didn't have a clue what it was. I still don't. But it just sounded amazing. It sounded like liberation. It sounded like what we all need, you know. It definitely sounded like what I needed. And I trusted it then, and I trust it now. I trusted it from that moment, and I believe in it, that if all of us work hard and follow the path, that we can get there. That was me meeting the Buddha. Fast forward to my early 30s. I'm in London. I work, got a good job, got a good life. I got safety. I got security. I feel like I'm happy. But there is something missing still. There's this niggly feeling within me. There still is, you know, and I'm still thinking, surely this is not it, right? You know, surely this is not just it. And I'm still an avid reader, you know, and I come across the Dalai Lama's book, is to do with what we really are. And that is when I meet the Dharma. And I just continue from there on reading about the Dharma, book after book, you know, Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, other Buddhism. But still, I just still feel I should be doing something else. There is something else missing. And I start applying the Dharma. I start working on my wrong views, on my conditioning, on my beliefs. For example, I used to be really, really judgmental. It was my family conditioning, but I guess it's our human conditioning as well. And I would feel really bad, or I would feel good, right? But even both sides would leave me sort of feeling a bit unsettled with this unskillful sort of judgments of others and comparison. I used to compare myself constantly to others. So you would compare yourself, I would compare myself to others, and if it was better, if I was better, I would feel good about it. If I was worse, I would feel bad about it. And these are some of the views that I started correcting, and I just slowly started chipping away like the water chips away from the rocks, you know. And some of these beliefs and wrong views started falling away. I can happily say that. And some of them stay with me still, and some of them appear when I'm tired or when I'm triggered. But I have started, you know, working with mindfulness and observing my mind and knowing myself just slightly, little bit better. But then something was still missing. But one morning I wake up and I had a bit of an insight and thinking, my heart is open. I feel metta because I worked quite a lot about, you know, sort of compassion and metta. I would like to have my family. So the next 10 years, that's where I prioritized my efforts. I moved to Cambridge. I had 2 beautiful children. I've got a husband. I've got a home. I've got a good job. Everything is beautiful. I'm happy. But there is something. Still something little niggling. And I'm doing yoga at the Cambridge Buddhist Center for 10 years, not realizing it's a Buddhist center. We did some building work on our house, and the letter comes through the letterbox, and it's about asking for recommendation for a builder and whether we would recommend our builder, and signed with a name that is similar to the name, where I come from. And both my husband and me look at it and go, well, that's a bit weird. We've got a neighbor who is from the same country. Google it. And the first information that comes out is that this woman was ordained into the Triratna Buddhist Order just a few years ago. And I'm sure that you had, all of you, one of those moments when life just stopped. And, you can call it a light bulb moment, I call it synchronicity, or I would like to think that the Buddha touched me with his little pinky, yeah. And I just knew it was a sign. So I just looked up the Cambridge Buddhist Center. I saw all these beautiful courses and the beautiful things that are done here. I enrolled myself into the first course, and that was 2.5 years ago. I became a Mitra after 2 months, 3 months, or something like that. And then soon after that, this year, I asked for ordination. With this, I met my Sangha. And what is really interesting is I checked in with myself recently, and there is no niggle anymore. And the reason why I asked for ordination is because I'm so grateful to Triratna and Sangharashita that being a woman, I can do it. I can practice the Dharma. Okay, I've done it, on my own. It was a very lonely path. But together with this spiritual community that I call my own now, I can deepen it. And ordination I see not as a final destination, but as the journey, and continuing and deepening it together with you, and building my capacity so that I can do it for the benefit of all. Thank you.
Thank you, Csilla. You brought so much into that, and thank you for sharing your story in the way that you did. Yeah, thank you. So time has run on quite quickly. So the people on the course are going to meet. We're all going to meet to sort of have a sort of talk about what's been said. But I'll leave the people in the group to will go out into the foyer all together. So my question to you is, well, what has interested you from what they've talked about, and what are the resonances for you? Maybe there's a sense of a next step. Maybe that sort of feels clear, or a sense of oh, I've forgotten what I was going to say. I think I was so immersed in the talk section. Maybe there's a sense of a next step. What would be your next step, or what are you longing for? That might be another sort of question. If you don't know what the next step is, maybe there's a sense of what you're longing for.